Straight into it.
Straight into it.
Everybody say, welcome, Amy.
Hi, my name is Amy.
So, Amy, feel free. Say hello. Tell us about your life, where you've come from, your past. Yep. Take it away.
Sweet. Get straight into it. So my name's Amy. I run the youth with my amazing partner, Lachlan. Few years. Hopefully soon a little fiance, but anyways.
Oh!
Yeah, put the heat on him.
That was smart.
Yeah, do it in front of everyone.
You just made the whole room pressure him.
Yeah, I did.
Dude, I would hate to be you right now. You got a smart woman.
Yeah.
Continue.
Yeah, sweet. Continue. Start roasting everyone. So I've actually come from a non-Christian background. I grew up in a family where we didn't go to church. We didn't really talk about God too much. Wasn't really spoken about or anything. Straight into it. My family I was a child of divorce. So when I was 2, my parents did split up, and that was pretty, I was so young, so I don't remember much, but I do remember growing up just feeling like something was missing, just someone was missing, is that just sort of feeling, you're just like I'm just feeling like that empty hole in my life. So eventually growing up with my mum, we went to court because my dad wanted custody of me and my brother. It was just me and my brother at the time. So we went to court, and I just remember in the courtroom just feeling weird. You're just sort of this is an unknown place. I'm playing with these toys. The lady's giving us toys. She's play with these. Be happy. And I'm but where's my mum? I don't care about the toys. I don't care about the teddy bear you've just given me. Where's my mum? And I just felt like something wasn't right. Something was off. Anyways, that lasted for about a week, I think. I was still so young. I was probably about 5. Then when we went home, and then all of a sudden I was being taken to my dad's house every fortnight. And I'm who's this man? I hadn't ever had contact with him. I was who's this man? And we started to build a relationship, just a daughter and father relationship. Throughout the years, we sort of started to become more close, and as time progressed, he started to get into alcohol and gambling, and he started coming home and just being really, really verbally abusive. I just remember him telling me I'm worthless, I was nothing, I was just a mistake, just feeling really, really rejected from my own father, right? Yeah. I'm just trying to give it a go with my dad, and it's just nothing. He's just giving me nothing back, except for rejection. Then further along the line, he then started to physically hurt me, just not really nice stuff. It was really icky, and I just didn't feel right about it, but I also didn't feel like I had to tell anyone. You're a kid. If your dad's doing something, you're sure, why not? People make mistakes. I'm only a kid. It's whatever. Who am I to tell? Yeah. Then it did turn into some sort of sexual abuse, and it was pretty hard growing up with my friends, being able to build relationships with other friends and with boys and stuff, and I was just not interested in it at all. And it wasn't until I got into high school and they started talking about consent and all these things, it's okay to say no, and I was just it was just a light bulb, and I was like, this is not right. This is not right. It made me feel so worthless and so small, and I just thought that was what my life was. I was just destined for emptiness and just icky feeling, it's just a yuck. Yeah. Just a yuck feeling, just really horrible. Yeah.
I actually appreciate your vulnerability there, and we agree this is a safe place for Amy to share a story. I think you touched on something important there. A lot of times the mess we find ourselves in, the dark place we find ourselves in, we accept it as normal. We think, this is what it is, it must be normal. And we have moments where we start to grow up, we start to become more aware, we start to realize there is mess, there is humanity, and it's painful. I don't know if anyone else can relate to that. Like, sometimes you just go through something and you think, this has to be only happening to me, this has to be only my story, but here you're having a moment going, you know what, this isn't right. What happened after that? Like, how did life look?
Just looked
once you'd had that?
Like a mess. I told my mum, and the look of horror and disgust will never leave me. It was just like this betrayal, this like, I cannot believe this is happening. It made me feel pretty worthless, pretty crap. Not really. Didn't really want anything to do with anyone. It made me really, really shut off, actually. It completely broke me down. And I came really distant from everyone and super introverted. Like, if you know me, I'm super, super introverted. I'm like, don't talk to me. So, I've had to work through it, but yeah.
So what did, it's a pretty wild past. Where did your life start to, on this search for God? Or talk me through what happened after you were aware of your humanity, you realise life is messy, you realise it's painful. Where did you start looking for God, or tell us about what happened there?
Yeah, it's actually a funny story. I was invited to youth by a friend, and he described it like a rave party, right? And I was like trying to just fill any empty voids just with anything. So I was like, a rave party? That sounds like right up my alley. Like, I'm going to that. He actually didn't tell me it was a church. It didn't tell me it was a youth, it was a youth group. I didn't know what a youth group was, and I was like, oh, rave party, sick, I'm in. So I went, and I walked in. There's about crazy it felt like thousands of kids just running around, just like crazy, like the lights are going crazy.
Like a daycare.
Yeah, like a daycare. Like, I was just like, what is happening in this place? It was funny enough, Locke actually preached my first night I was there, and I was like, who's this tall man screaming at me? Like, sir, stay away from me. Like, I don't want anything to do with that. But I just felt like there was just something there that I just needed. So there was just something, and I couldn't put my finger on it. I had never felt it before. It was just a joy, and it was just like sense of belonging. It was just there.
Yeah.
It was just there. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, and you mentioned that. You said that I've gone to this crazy place, which is like, if my friend at the time told me to jump off a bridge, I would have.
Absolutely.
So I'm showing up to a rave.
I'm driving the car to the bridge.
And you said, like, this is the interesting part to me. You go to this place, and you don't find God.
Yeah.
You found
Absolutely
belonging.
not.
You found, this is cool, I feel accepted. But it wasn't really your thing.
No.
So talk us through what happened when you, came for a rave.
Yeah.
Raving for Jesus.
Raving for Jesus.
But you're like, Jesus, actually,
like,
I don't think there is a Jesus here.
Yeah.
What happened? Tell us a bit about that journey of actually encountering God.
Yeah. It was funny. I had only been coming to youth for maybe 2 or 3 months, and unfortunately, Mum and I got in a pretty horrific car accident, which, was not only just physically horrible, it was mentally, it was worse mentally. I remember us driving, and I was we were in the car on the same side, and I just remember a car just being right on top of me. I remember a crashing sound, and then I don't remember anything until I woke up. I remember Mum.
Sorry, take your time.
I remember waking up and just hearing silence. I could just see people around me, and I could just hear nothing, and I just started to scream out to Mum. And I couldn't hear her, and she was, I don't know, knocked out, winded, I don't know. I thought she was dead. I thought I had lost my mum after I had just built a relationship with her, and it finally came out that my dad was doing all these things, and we had started just work through, become super, super close. And I just remember waking up and just being like, all right, well, Mum's dead, so what's next? Like, what do I do now? And I just remember screaming out just to Mum, and then I just heard a gasp, and that was it. That was it for me. Mum woke up and she was like, what's all that screaming? And I'm like, Mum, we've just been in a car accident. Like, do you not realise what's just happened? I remember
you were like screaming, Mum, are you dead? She's saying,
she's like,
clean your room.
Like, that's enough screaming from you. Like,
but I know it would have been frightening, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. It was super, super horrible to go through. And within matters of seconds, you're thinking, well, Mum's dead. What do I do now? Like, that was literally it for me. Like, I was literally like, yep, Mum's gone. Awesome. Cool. After all I've just gone through with her, we've just built this fantastic relationship. And, yep, she's gone. But she woke up, which thankfully God was right there. And then we got taken to hospital, and she was admitted, and I was given Panadol and Nurofen for a concussion and sent home. I was like, oh, okay, guess I've just done nothing, it's fine. She actually stayed in hospital for a few months, and I took time off school. I didn't go to school. I was supposed to be going to school, but I wasn't. I was actually going to see her every day at the hospital, just sitting by her bed, even if she was sleeping, eating, showering. I was literally right there until they kicked me out and were like, visiting hours is over. I'm like, well, I'm not a visitor. I'm actually kind of that guy.
Yeah.
I'm that guy. Let me stay.
I'm her daughter.
I'm actually her daughter, so you can't kick me out. So I just remember going backwards and forwards to the hospital, catching a taxi every day, and it was just like a really deflating feeling. It was just like the life was just draining out of me, just sitting.
You mentioned to me you felt like you were the parent.
Yes,
and
I absolutely
took school
did.
off, and that was it. You were full-time care of your mum.
I was full-time carer of Mum, which, I mean, love you, Mum, but love you, Mum.
Love you, Mum, but you're a lot of work.
But that was a lot. Never again. Never again.
But I want to interject there, because I know that to get through our own life is hard, but sometimes by default we have to start to look after the people around us. And I know that probably many people in this room can relate to that. Sometimes we're not just taking care of our own lives, we're picking up the pieces and the hurt of others. You were telling me that put a lot of pressure on you, and talk us through what happened there. And
put a lot of pressure on me. Just Mum couldn't walk, so I had to give her breakfast, lunch, dinner, painkillers, bathroom, shower, change of clothes. Like I would have to help her with everything. And it was a lot at that age. I'm getting messages from my friends, and they're like, where are you? And I'm like, leave me alone. Like, I'm going through something. But I didn't want to tell them that I was going through something, which was probably my biggest mistake, was doing it alone. But wasn't alone, was I? I happened to just feel pressure coming from every single aspect of my life. My friends, my family, school, this. It was all just piling up, and I was like, go away, like, just leave me alone. And it happened to be, I was having a shower, and I was just like so done. I was just so done being the parent, taking care of Mum, not doing teenage things. I'm just like depressed. I'm so done. Like, you know, you just reach like your reaching point. You're just like, I'm just done. Like, it just needs to stop. So I had made a plan that I was gonna kill myself. I had it all planned out, and I was gonna do it. And I was in the shower, and I was just like, I'm just done. Like, just so done. I had been going to youth before the car accident, and I was like, well, last hope, right? Like, I'm going to do it tonight. God, if you're real, show me. Just do it. Just do it. Like, I'm just done. So I just was in the shower and I just heard this voice just say, Amy, I've always been there. And I was like, what the frig?
Swear word.
What the frig? Like, I was like, I physically looked around because I was like scared. I'm like, oh my gosh, there's someone in my shower. Like, it was just so real. And because I had never felt anything like that, I was like, there's someone in my shower. There's someone in the bathroom. And I'm like, oh yeah, we live 2 flights of stories up. So I'm like, there's actually no physical way someone's got into the bathroom. And I was like, oh my gosh, like that must be God, right? That must be. What else could it be? So I obviously ended up not killing myself. But everybody cheer. It didn't become super, super easy instantly. It was still hard. The thought was still there. But I just knew that I had to go back to youth. I had Kirsty also reaching out to me, being like, where are you? Like, I've missed you the first couple of weeks. And I'm like, go away. Like, stop messaging me. I'm just trying to deal with it myself. But because of those messages, I did actually end up going back to youth. And I just remember seeing the back of Kirsty's head. And I was like, Kirsty. She just spun around. She's like, Amy. I'm like, help me. Like, this is just trauma dump everything. And she's like, well, sis, that's a lot. But then I started to work through it. And thankfully, by some sort of grace, I've been just covered just in love and just been filled. Yeah.
You know, I found that really interesting when you were sharing a story that it wasn't a special lights, cameras moment at church. You're in your shower.
I was in my boiling hot shower.
In a time of desperation. And, you know, I know there's so much to your story. There's this cry out of young innocence being taken away. There's this journey of family breakdown. There's all these things. And sometimes we actually feel from our own humanity the only way out is to end it all. And I just think it's amazing that God wasn't like, hey, Ames, if you get down to church, I'll be there. Hey, if you get your life put together, I'll be there. We serve a God that will meet you exactly where you're at. And, I think it's powerful to feel that in our desperate times, God shows up. And he's not looking for the squeaky and clean and the perfect moment. He's just looking for someone to say, hey, if you're there. Hey, if you're real, hey, show me. And that's what happened. Obviously, you've gone through a lot since then, encountering God. What's God been helping you work through? What are you doing now? And talk about where your life is right now. What are you doing?
Yeah, God works in some mysterious ways. He puts me through some trials and some real hard battles. A lot of the things I've been working with God, I've been working with unforgiveness a lot. Like, I just am just so quick to hold a grudge. And I've just got to be like, no, wait, woo, let's pray about it. And then maybe you're right, but like also you're probably wrong. So I've been working with unforgiveness quite a lot, but my self-worth being a huge one. Like, my self-worth was absolute zilch, like literally minus. So working through that super, super slow with God, my anxiety and just the pressure, just working with him to just let it go. Just let it go and just yeah.
I remember you said, if I could describe my life in one word now, it'd be freedom.
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 It's a good one. Yeah.
What does freedom look like to you?
I would probably describe it as just life, just flourishing life. I've got a family. I've got a massive, massive family. Yeah. I've got an amazing family. Not even just blood. I've got an amazing family.
The church.
Yeah. I've got a community that I can come to with everything and just be like, this is what it is. And I'm not turned away. I'm not gross. I'm not I'm not, like what I've been told my entire life, I'm not. And I've just found just love and like peace. I've been, a peace. But I'm not crying because it's sad.
I'm not crying, you're crying.
I'm crying just because it's just such a beautiful feeling. And I've just pour out my life to these girls and these boys that I work with at youth. And I'm just like, I just wish you could feel the peace. I just pray every day that you just feel something, just something. Yeah.
You know, that's the thing. The bottom line is, regardless of our mess, the mess people have put on us, the family breakdown, the trauma, whatever it is, the true meaning of the gospel and what God did, and we'll talk about it in a bit about Good Friday, is we were truly made for more. Despite it all, despite the mess, despite whether we think we have it all together or we don't, the reality is we're made for more. And I think your story is a perfect example of no matter who walks through these doors, no matter who's here tonight, whether you hear my voice, whether you didn't believe or you still don't believe, I want to tell you, friend, you're made for more. You're so made for more. Your story, your journey, your heartache, your pain, your brokenness, you're not only made for more, but now Amy uses her story to help young people. And you work with a lot of young people. A lot of young people on the streets that come to this place. And you tell them every Friday, hey, you're made for more too. And I know you work through them. If there's anything you wanted to do to encourage anyone out there tonight as we prepare to close, what would that be?
I've got a little Bible verse written down that I just stumbled across, and it just describes just my life so well. It's from Isaiah 41:10. It says, "Do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will uphold you with my righteous hand." And it's a verse that I've always come back to when I found it. I've just happened to stumble across it. And I come back to it whenever I do start to feel that unforgiveness and that test of my faith. And it takes me back to when I first heard God speaking to me. Amy, I have always been there.
I've always been here.
I've always been there.
Always been here.
It's something to get me through my fear, and it reminds me that God is always around and always there. So I don't know who needs to hear it, but if you're going through something and it feels impossible, just remember God's always been there, and He'll never leave you. And press around the people that are around you. Press into this. This isn't for nothing.
Yeah.
This isn't for nothing. It's for your battles.
Yeah.
You've got to have a village to back you.
So true. You know, God's real. And what Good Friday represents is so real. And I know personally for me, I'm just thankful for Jesus. I often say this, and it's trying to be controversial, but I often say to people, I'm not here to convince you God's real, but I will convince you that I haven't spent my life to waste my time pretending that He is.
Absolutely.
And I'm not here to convince you that He's real. I'm not here to brainwash you into the gospel that Jesus, but I'll tell you this, I haven't wasted my life pretending. And I'm not here to pretend. I'm not here to play church. I'm not here to be religious. I'm literally here because I've been saved. And your story tells that. And I wrote this down. I just felt, Good Friday started with the faith that we believe in. You and I, and maybe someone's asking questions. It's called Good Friday, but the journey literally started with Jesus being crucified on a cross. And to me, it's like, who's the writer of this story? Good Friday. It's bad Friday. It's like our God, their God, whoever's God it is, but the God that we follow in our faith, he lost. And He was hung on a cross, and they mocked Him and they laughed at Him. And it baffles me why it's called Good Friday. And I know that some of us know the answer, but in Luke 23:39, it reads the story about what happened today and what it represents. And it says here, Jesus had been grabbed, He's hung on the cross, He's there with two other criminals. And one of the criminals who hung there with Jesus threw insults at him and said, aren't you the king? Aren't you the Messiah? Aren't you the God that all these people have faith in? If it is you, then save yourself and save us. And then this other criminal, which was on the other side, he says, hey man, and he rebuked him. He said, hey, don't you fear God? Don't you know that we're actually meant to be here? We're humans, we've made mistakes, we deserve to be on this cross. And that criminal then turns to Jesus and he says, we're being punished justly for the deeds we deserve. But you have done nothing wrong. Yet you're on the cross with us. Then he said, Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom. And Jesus looks at him. This is what I want someone to pick up tonight. And whether you believe or you don't, whether you're searching or you're not. Jesus answers him, truly I tell you, today you will be with me in paradise. See, it was never about rights and wrongs. We're talking about two criminals on a cross with our Savior, with the God that doesn't say, hey, die for me, but I'll die for you. And he's with the people that, I'll be honest with you, I've done things I shouldn't have done. I've said things I shouldn't have done. I'm a sinner. I deserve to be punished. But it was never about rights and wrongs. What Good Friday was about, it was never about perfection and imperfection. It wasn't about whether Amy had a good family or a bad family where she went through abuse or not. It wasn't about that. It wasn't whether we made it or we didn't make it or we got it right or we didn't get it right. It wasn't about good or bad people. It was just simply Jesus in this life. Will you remember me? Will you keep your word when you said you would die for my sins? And God, will you remember me in this mess? And Jesus, just like the criminal on the cross, which I think all of us have done something wrong in our lives and continue to do something wrong, he will look at you and say, friend, from this day forward, you'll spend the rest of paradise with me. And although the world can be dark, although Amy's story can be dark, she's now living in a place where it feels like she's heading towards paradise. And God's doing wonders in her life before you're doing wonders on this earth. And so as the band comes, Jesus has always been the symbol of a God that would do whatever it takes to reach you and I. To reach the empty, to reach the broken, to reach those that have gone through what Amy's gone through, to reach those that suffer with their own shame, their own brokenness, their own just life. He's the only faith symbol that I know that didn't say, get it right and I'll give you a chance. He said, where you've got it wrong, I'll fill the gap and I'll give you that second chance. And you're living that second chance right now and we're proud of you. And I just want to thank you for being so vulnerable and sharing your story with us.
Thanks.
It's amazing.
Thanks for listening.
Let's give it up for Amy as she